thing with Darnold, I don't know that he really sees it any better than Trey sees it. Sam, and I thought this today, watching 7-on-7, he could really hold on to the ball. But it's 7-on-7, who cares? But let's go to the numbers. The seventh slowest quarterback to throw last year in the NFL was Sam Darnold. I don't have this minimized for minimum dropbacks. This is everybody. Malik Willis, time to throw, 3.5 seconds. Bryce Perkins, 3.4. Justin Fields, 3.45. Deshaun Watson, 3.31. Tyrod Taylor, 3.29. Sam Darnold, 3.16. Trey Lance, 3.15. Those were the slowest to throw quarterbacks last year in the NFL. Like, to me, if Sam Darnold is going to sweep Kyle Shanahan off his feet, doesn't he have to get rid of the ball and make quick decisions? The runaround, let's make a play. I just don't think that's the recipe to beat out Trey Lance if you're Sam Darnold. But it might just be the type of player he is, which might also mean that he's what? Well, those types of players generally are quote unquote gamers. So maybe these guys have to play games for us to really be able to see the differences. I'm not saying Sam can't beat out Trey. I'm not saying that. But I am saying I have yet to see the guy that is definitely better for the 49ers than Trey Lance. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I mean, you are seeing in practice a guy who's been on the team now for a month, making $3 million. So I think and listen, I've been part of the hype train, but I think the expectation of coming in like the way maybe people think I've talked about him or whoever have talked about him, Mayoko says a great story, like you're going to walk in and see Peyton Manning dominating the practice field. Like, he is new to the squad, and ultimately, like, as we saw, like, what is practice? Like, I honestly am kind of a big believer in, like, I don't even know what practice means in the NFL. Now, with quarterbacks, you definitely could see, like, the ball, how you spin it and stuff, but wouldn't you say there's a pretty dramatic difference of just what they're doing now and what they'll be doing, like, when the pads come on, like, the first week of practice, like, real practice,
for sure,
playing defenses, like. So I'm not defending anybody here. I just think it can be difficult to make conclusions negatively, positive that Trey, I would say this about Trey, and here's where he deserves credit, is a throwing motion. Anytime you make something that's a muscle memory driven thing and you can change it and stick with it, and I get he's still in shorts and t-shirts, it's not, but clearly, like, that's pretty impressive. Remember how Tim Tebow tried to do it and just couldn't do it and he just resorted back? Now, he had the worst ever. But I think a lot of guys with shorter releases, it's not like the majority of them are like, let's just keep it long. Like, everyone tries to. Ideally, everyone would be like Dan Marino or Jimmy Garoppolo, like the quick flip, right? But you can't do it. Like, if everyone's golf swing could be Rory McIlroy, we'd all do it. If everyone's, how many hitters can't hit a certain pitch and part of it's like a swing, like the plane of their swing? It's just... Mm-hmm. That gets back to probably when they were in high school, right? It's just how you do it. So I give him a ton of credit. The dude he worked with Mahomes, working that out and clearly sticking. Because I would have guessed, like, okay, can he just do this week in, week out? And clearly has, right? That's a huge win.
I think so.
For his own self as his career, like, it's a big positive.
But don't you think we still have to see it in games or see it like with live bullets to really?
100%. I'm just saying it's like pretty impressive because your natural reaction, just the live bullet, just when you're going back and it's still somewhat football-y, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You're not going to get hit or whatever.
Yeah.
But even in training camp. But yeah, for sure. I mean, I think he is, I would say Trey Lance is going to be one of the most scrutinized players in August in football. In his live game reps against other teams that every human in America can watch on television.
Yep.
And because he already has bad. Yeah, he already has been, but those clips, good and bad, are going to go for the internet people, very, very viral, right?
We're all internet people, I think, at this point.
But you know what I mean? Like, if he has something sweet, it'll go very viral. And if he has something bad, it's going to dictate all of our takes on him that we've already, I would say people think I'm pretty fluid on him, though. Yeah. I'm not bullish on him, but like, if he starts dominating the preseason, I'm not going to be like, oh, fuck, just go with Sam Darnold anyway. I don't care that much. Like, play whoever's the better player.
I know, and you've been consistent with that the whole time. I have too. I sometimes it gets misconstrued or misunderstood, I think. But here's a good counter that I want to counter. Third string all pro says, well, the other way to look at it is that Trey isn't getting any separation on Darnold. And, based on what you just said, John, he's been here 2 months. Trey's been here 2 years. Trey should be significantly ahead of Darnold. What I would say to that, though, is so much of the Darnold story is that he's only 25 years old and has all of this untapped potential that is yet to be realized. And I'm saying maybe there isn't that much untapped potential. Maybe there is more questions with Trey than there are with Sam, and that is also potential, right? Like, ideally, there'd be all these questions with Darnold because you see all this upside. I don't, from a forget about knowing the offense, from a physicality standpoint, again, this is, you can't get hit. So it's we got to see these in games. But I don't see a Sam Darnold that's much more accurate than Trey Lance, or throws a much better ball than Trey Lance, or makes throws that Trey Lance can't make, or throws the ball deeper, better.
My question is one major question surrounding Trey's short career has been the touch is just not something that he feels great about, right?
Yeah.
Like a wheel route, like the Purdy had pretty naturally immediately, right? Which obviously, to be a productive player with his stature, was going to be a positive. Like, if he didn't have it, you have no chance, right? Jake Hayner, like, he can just throw a wheel route pretty easily. And when you watch the two of them, do you feel like there's any difference in the two? Like, just throwing a wheel route to Isaiah,
Burst.
I said Isaiah Mitchell, but
Isaiah Burst.
Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did McCaffrey practice a lot today?
Did McCaffrey practice? Of course he practiced. Are you kidding me?
Dude treats fucking practices like the Super Bowl.
Him and Ayuk, man.
Yeah.
No, you're right. That's real.
But I also
Kyle
think
Shanahan might value that, right? Historically, that's the criticism. Kyle would rather a guy that can just do the check down that he told him to over go create a play.
In this setting, right? In an NFL, in college it's probably a little different, but in the NFL, I would say the two positions that can really just kind of separate themselves, just eye test wise, would obviously be a wide receiver, right? Run around, you can just really feel his speed moving around. It's like you go to one of these practices throughout the country. If you got an Ayuk, if you got a Devontae Adams, I see Elijah Moore, like one of the part of the trade, I think for
the Bears.
The Jets got rid of him, right, to take in Lazard or whatever. Jets drafted him a couple years ago. Now he's now on the Browns. I guess he's been killing it at these OTAs. Like, you can really dominate if you're a good route runner in OTA. I mean, you can dominate in football, but I just say OTAs really stand out. I'd even say a DB, like moving around, you can really kind of feel them. Lenore,
Lenore looks good.
Yeah, so I would put quarterback. I'm not putting them with like D-line or O-line where there's really not much you can take. But it's hard because, like you said, like, was a sack? Is this a real play? Because sometimes you throw a pick, let's say,
right,
when the play would have died 2.5 seconds ago, but you scramble around. And I wonder, the coaching points in the meeting is like, hey, we want to get the live reps, keep the DBs and the wide receivers are going to keep playing.
Right.
If they tap you, you're allowed to keep it going, right? Because they don't just blow the whistle and stop the play.
Right.
There'd be no point for the – like, it's really – these drills are very, very suited for the passing game, I would say, with the – in terms of the wide receivers and the DBs, less around the quarterback because it's not real, unless it's like 2 or 3 steps getting rid of the ball. But what's that? Half the time? I'm not defending or crushing anyone on this. I'm just kind of talking through it.
No, and I think the other thing worth talking through, and I didn't think of it until I saw it today, was like when we see some of these numbers, completion percentage numbers from practice, like Trey Lance threw a ball today that was an incomplete pass that I thought was a really good ball. He threw a ball kind of moving to his left. He threw it to his left just outside the hashes, or like at the hashes. And it was one of those throws that he kind of, he layers it over the tight end, over the linebacker, but it's on a line. It's not a floater. He was trying to get it to McCaffrey in traffic, and the pass got broken up. But first of all, it was a good throw to get that throw to McCaffrey. Now, it wasn't Fred Warner out there, but it was a good throw just to get it over. I don't know whoever it was.
What's the best job in the NFL? Once you become a max player
Maybe
for Kyle
Warren.
at any position, and your name's not Christian McCaffrey, you're allowed to do whatever you want, basically for 6 months a year.
It is. It's a good deal. But it was a good throw to get it over the linebacker. And then it was just a 50-50 ball for McCaffrey, basically. Like right there, DB made a good play. Probably a pass interference. McCaffrey thought it was. I turned to Barrows and I was like, was that pass interference? I think it was pass interference. Just to confirm it. I didn't want to say it here on this platform, John, without having some. He said, yeah, I think it was a pass. So it was a good throw. It was probably a pass interference. And it was McCaffrey in traffic. I'll tell you one guy.
If you ran Madden and you just went to practice, what would you give McCaffrey's like overall rating?
Just based on practice, you're saying?
If like Mahomes is 100, yeah. I'm just saying, just watching him live, like you already know how good he is. Then you see him at practice. Like what does he feel like properly should be his rating? Is he like 96 or is he like 92?
No, 96. Yeah, I was gonna say 98. I mean, he looks like the total package when you watch him move. He does everything. Yeah, he also practices harder than anybody else. So, he moves at his speed is like really pops on a practice field because he's just a muscle. He's just a fucking rocket muscle.
Yeah, anyone not named like Fred Warner has no chance to defend him, like in space.
He just looks different than most people,
Yeah.
Part of it's his body type, at his height, that strong and that fast. But
it's weird for a guy that's jacked up. He is pretty fluid.
Yeah, it's just I did not. It's crazy to say this. I don't think I appreciated Christian McCaffrey enough.
Well, he had disappeared for a couple years after his like pretty. I don't know if it was. Yeah, I think it was near historic because he was one of the first 1,000 guys, right?
Yeah, it was historic. Yeah. So Trey made. What I was going to say though is like your point about receivers can really stand out. It's hard with Darnold because I never saw Sam practice before to know if maybe this is how he's always looks. Maybe he looked this way at SC. If I had never watched, if I didn't know anything about the Niners and I came out to a Niners practice, I'd be like, God, I would not trust Juwan Jennings on 3rd and 7 because he's going to drop it. But I've been to Niners practice for 3 straight years. I know that's what happens in Niners practice. In fact, he had a drop today, and then Darnold went back to him on the next play. He made a sweet catch over the middle.